Donald Trump's White House enduring fallout from his blanket pardons of rioters involved with the January 6th Capitol insurrection. We welcome you into CBS News 24/7. I'm Reed Cowan. So here's the headline. In addition to those pardons, prosecutors chasing other cases now told to end the chase for those cases and prosecutions as well. So we just got this reaction to that bit of news from House Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries.
It's shameful that House Republicans have embraced the freeing of violent felons who brutally beat police officers on January 6th. These are violent individuals who beat police officers severely with fire extinguishers, sticks, flagpoles, and other types of weapons. Officers were tased. Officers were subjected to bear spray and other toxic weapons. And these violent criminals have been released, and those pardons have been embraced by House Republicans, including the top leadership. The release of violent felons who brutally beat police officers and women doesn't make America safer. It undermines public safety in community after community after community in the United States of America. Shame on my House Republican colleagues. What happened to backing the blue? Next question.
So let's bring in CBS News congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane. A lot to unpack there. Scott, Jeffries is not alone in that condemnation.
Yeah, the outrage continues to spiral from this controversial decision, this historically controversial decision to pardon and commute 1,500 defendants, including those who maimed, gassed, clubbed, beat, terrorized police officers. Some of our latest reporting includes this, Reed. CBS News has learned the FBI has pulled down its wanted posters for the many fugitives who've been eluding authorities, who have not shown up for their court dates and have been fugitives of the law for years in January 6 cases. The manhunts are over. The Department of Justice declines to comment on that. We also can report the January 6 pipe bomb investigation does remain open. The FBI will continue down that path, even though they're pulling back from the other paths. But the remarks you just heard from Hakeem Jeffries came in response to a question from CBS News about the concerns we're hearing from some members of Congress, staffers in Congress, police in the Capitol, who are concerned about their safety moving forward. One of the highest profile January 6 defendants, Elmer Stewart Rhodes, founder of the Oath Keepers, convicted of seditious conspiracy, though not accused of going into the Capitol that day, was here on Capitol Hill yesterday, notoriously, for everybody to see. And that struck some people as a sign of things to come, that others who were convicted of being part of this attack will be here too, and will be here with a mandate that what they did January 6th was righteous.
Well, and Scott, we understand we have some sound to that very end regarding Mr. Rhodes. Let's go ahead and listen to that.
They called me a traitor, telling me to remember my oath. I was beaten, crushed, kicked, punched, surrounded. Someone reached underneath my visor, tried to gouge out my eye. And all these people were just pardoned by Donald Trump, who says that they were the real victims, that they were the patriots. I don't understand how anyone can believe that. Donald Trump, everything he is, everything he stands for is anathema to me. but he is the President of the United States, and he's going to leverage that power in terrible ways. And one of the first ways he chose to do that was to pardon everyone from January 6th who tried to stop the transfer of power and usurp the will of the people.
So specifically to that visit by Mr. Rhodes, you're hearing from that former police officer there, and it really backs up what Hakeem Jeffries said about so many people wondering, does Donald Trump really back the blue? But also there seems to be some support. You know, we know Trump diehard Lauren Boebert in recent days has invited some of these people to come into the halls of Congress. What is the energy there in the halls given that invitation and really that messaging?
That's a really good question. The officer from whom we just heard is Daniel Hodges, who famously was the one crushed in the doorway during that fight and that melee in the tunnel area of the Capitol. He has been a witness in January 6 cases. He has been part of the effort to lock up a lot of these rioters. And that's really where the shift is now. Reed, this week began when the pardons were announced with a retrospective look at what some consider to be an injustice. Now there's a prospective look into the risk that now exists here and in other communities when you have people convicted of violent crimes not only released, but feeling they were vindicated and have a mandate to continue to fight for Trump. There's concern about personal safety on Capitol Hill among those who are in those courtrooms testifying, serving as witnesses. The tipsters who called the feds about people they knew were part of the riot, saw it on Facebook, saw it on social media, have it in their own family. There's a growing sense that there's a public safety threat moving forward that is just starting to crystallize.
And a force, arguably, and the big question, will that force grow even more given these commutations and pardons? Scott, let's put that aside. While we have you, want to ask you about another hot button issue. The Justice Department ordered that freeze on the Civil Rights Division. Walk us through the implications there.
No surprise there. We know when different administrations come in, they have a different view on how the Department of Justice should do that unique mission it has, civil rights enforcement, going to court to challenge things that they think are violations of civil rights. There was an expectation when the Trump team came in, they would dial back on civil rights initiatives to oversee U.S. police departments to ensure they're not violating the civil rights of people in their communities. We've seen over the past few years a number of police departments under scrutiny by the feds. Minneapolis, site of the George Floyd death, being just one of them. There's an expectation when Trump came in that he was going to dial this back, and our latest CBS News reporting is right off the jump. They've done so. It's likely when there is a newly in place person to run the Civil Rights Division of the Department of Justice, they will shift the focus to Trump's priorities and different priorities.
Congressional correspondent Scott MacFarlane, big headlines today. We're so grateful that you are there to bring them to us here on CBS News 24/7.